Welcome back to our Steven. I'm your host, Steven, and I owe my dentist a lot of money. But enough about me. Today, from a mom convinced she's in contact with the Prince of Dubai to someone receiving a call from their friend that definitely wasn't their friend, we've got some crazy scam stories, starting with a story titled, "My mother-in-law has lost over $250,000 to romance scams. We just discovered she stole around $150,000 from her sister." I need advice on a situation that has spiraled from standard scam victimhood into serious elder financial abuse. The background: my mother-in-law has been a constant romance scam victim for the last 8 years. Over that time, she's given away at least $250,000 of her own money, along with tens of thousands she's borrowed from others before we knew she was involved in these scams. It's the standard script. Oil rig workers, rich businessmen trapped overseas, missing in action soldiers, etc. We have found scratched off Apple gift cards. She asks how to send Bitcoin. There are tons of random transactions on her current public Venmo. She has been debanked multiple times and temporarily lost access to her Social Security/retirement when scammers rerouted them. She flips out aggressively anytime a family member tries to confront her. Currently, she is dating a missing in action soldier who is supposedly waiting for a medical flight back to the States to buy her a mansion in Florida. She is fully brainwashed. The crisis: for the last few years, my mother-in-law has held power of attorney for her sister, who has severe dementia. The sister cannot use a phone or computer, cannot carry a conversation beyond hello and goodbye, and has no other direct family. We recently discovered that my mother-in-law appears to have drained her sister's accounts. We estimate she has taken roughly $150,000 from the sister in the last few years to funnel to the scammers. We found multiple Cash App transfers from the sister to the mother-in-law. There are days where over $3,000 is transferred using Cash App. The mother-in-law seems to be using the sister's debit card as her own to live off of. The sister, who once had over $100,000 in her account, now only has a couple of $1,000s left in her account, despite receiving around $3,000 a month in benefits, but is completely aware because she doesn't handle her finances. Tragically and ironically, before the dementia set in, the sister mentioned to people that she was worried my mother-in-law would eventually take her money. That fear has now come true. The living situation: I own the property that they live in. For the last 3 years, I've allowed them to live there rent-free and bill-free. I cover utilities and maintenance, so my mother-in-law could care for her sister. Essentially, I'm subsidizing their housing while my mother-in-law sends every dollar her and her sister have to Lagos, Nigeria. The conflict: I have totally had it. I am forcing my mother-in-law to leave my property. This is incredibly hard on my wife, but she is deeply upset that her mother has stolen nearly everything from her aunt, but I see no other choice. However, a couple of family members are pushing back. Some think that I am overreacting or being a jerk by kicking my mother-in-law out. They are terrified that if I contact Adult Protective Services, APS, it will lead to serious legal issues, felony charges, or jail for my mother-in-law, and some suggested that we handle it internally. My argument is that internally is impossible because the money is gone. If my mother-in-law passes away or can no longer care for her sister, the sister will have no money left for a nursing home. We are looking at a future where the sister is destitute because the family wanted to protect the thief. My questions: 1. Is there any way to resolve this without APS, given the sister's dementia? 2. If we don't report this, what happens when the sister eventually needs a nursing home and Medicaid does a look back on her finances and sees $150,000 missing? 3. Do I have legal exposure if I know this is happening and don't report it? Any advice would be appreciated. As the age-old acronym goes, anal, aka I am not a lawyer, but if I were in OP's position, I'd also be pretty afraid if I do have some kind of legal exposure or responsibility to this to report it. I think, kind of as always, unsatisfyingly, it does depend on where you are in the world. I mean, essentially, it's abuse. It doesn't really have to be mental or emotional, it can be financial too. Honestly, I would love if people left in the comments what they thought the right thing to do here was, because if it were me in OP's shoes, I would be struggling mightily with this. Spatin Flute left a comment on the post saying, "Contact the police. She should be in jail for theft and fraud." Wrestling Woman left a comment saying, "Tell those family members pushing back that they should take in mother-in-law then." And also, rest assured, I'll never ask for an Apple gift card from any of you guys, but it would be nice if you could hit those like and subscribe buttons down below if you want more scam stories. Our next story is My Mom and Her Scammer. 2 years ago, my mom decided to put herself back on the market. She hadn't been on a date or romantically spoken to someone in 17 and a half years. I was all for it, and I helped her make her profile as well as take pictures for her profile. She was getting a bunch of hits, but eventually settled on this one guy who went by the name Min Thwain. He advertised himself as a over 6-foot white male that has parents from Thailand. The way that he portrayed himself to her was very alarming to me, but what was even more alarming was the love bombing. That happened immediately, and then I realized that he got her to deactivate her account. She had just made the account 2 weeks prior and paid up the membership so that she could have it for 6 months. I told her not to deactivate her account and to stay texting on the app. That was the last I'd heard of the guy, until later on the first year, I found out that she had installed WhatsApp. On WhatsApp, they texted 24/7, and I told her to stop talking to this guy, but that didn't happen. I moved out because I needed to get away from her in that situation. However, my younger sibling, 18, lives with my mom. During that entire summer, my sister would send me alarming text messages about how my mom was using up her credit card, my sister's, not my mom, because my mother didn't have money in her account. Mind you, my mom is a retired veteran and she works at a well-paying job, and then she did a part-time job for fun. My mom has never not had any money. She's also never used up my sister's credit card. She ran up my sister's card until it was overdrawn. And then there were also checks getting sent to the home that my mom was depositing. My mom had deposited so many checks to her bank account that one of those accounts closed because of fraud. She has consistently defended this guy to me to the point where when I did try to confront him, he did let her know, and she stopped talking to me as a result. Now he goes by the name Edward. He gets over $200 from her a week. He is supposedly stranded in Thailand, and he uses bodily harm and the threat of ending things. He pretty much controls every aspect of her life. When she wakes up for the day, she's texting him when she goes to sleep at night. She is texting him. He has access to her bank account. He's also gotten her to open up a Schwab account. I'm at a loss at what to do because financially my mom cannot afford this. She's so behind on her bills, I literally have no idea what she's gonna do because she's so freaking behind. I did reach out to our adult protective services, however, they pretty much told me that since she's making these decisions on her own accord and she's not disabled, there's nothing really for them to do. I just don't know what to do at this point. I'm fearing that she's going to lose her home. I know for certain that eventually the lights and the water will be turned off. She needs help. She doesn't want to admit that he's not real. Out of those entire 2 years, he has never spoken to her on the phone. He has never sent a voice message. They've never met in real life. This is a classic scam, and it's been going on for so long, I don't know what to do. So, to be honest, I'm a little bit at a loss at what to do myself. OP kind of tried what they could do. They tried to reach out to protective services. I mean, you can't force somebody into doing something if they're deemed fully capable. I think it might be one of those situations where OP just kind of has to start looking out for their sister, and if their mom kind of falls apart, they fall apart. I mean, hey, maybe at some point they just can't pay for the internet and then they'll have to stop talking to the guy. And I say guy very loosely because this is very likely like an entire scam call center that she's intermingling with. I mean, how else do you explain the random name shift? I think another person stepped in to take over the 24/7 WhatsApp convo, and they were just never told or forgot that they had to be Min Thwain. Substandard Poodle left a comment saying, "There's a reason why her boyfriend can text her 24/7. It's because there's more than one person handling her account. Lock your credit now. Seriously, take the time. There are 2 reasons people steal from their loved ones when this happens. 1, they've run out of money. 2, because they think you're too stupid to understand the wonderful opportunity they're offering, so they're using your money so you don't miss out on big profits. Our next story is a $3,000 success story with the McAfee Apple gift card scam. With all the sad stories of old folks being scammed, I thought I would post my 77-year-old uncle's success story. He got scammed out of $3,000 and actually got his money back. That's a lot of money to him. Yesterday, he admitted that 2 weeks ago, he fell for the McAfee/Apple gift card scam. Here's the story as he told it. Some details are missing because he doesn't remember everything. It started when he received a text or email from McAfee claiming that he owed them $650 for an old bill. He used to use McAfee software, so he wanted to clear it up. He called the number they gave him and spoke to a man who he said spoke in perfect English and was very convincing. The man explained that in order to clear up his account, he would have to send them $3,000 in Apple gift cards. At this point in the story, you're probably wondering the same thing I was. How did they convince him that a $650 bill would cost $3,000 to clear up, and how did they convince him that it makes sense to pay a bill in Apple gift cards? My friend, I wish I knew. No matter how many times and how many ways I asked him these questions, he could not remember. He just kept saying, "They're very good at what they do." Back to the story, my uncle went to the bank to withdraw $3,000 because the scammer told him he had to buy the Apple cards with cash. The teller was on the ball, aware that old folks who suddenly withdraw thousands of dollars are in the middle of being scammed, and asked, "Why are you withdrawing so much money?" The scammer had instructed my uncle to give the teller a personal reason for the withdrawal. So he said, "It's a gift for my niece's birthday." The teller, unconvinced, said, "Wow, that's a really large birthday gift." But my uncle stuck to the story. The teller, of course, had to give him his money. Then my uncle walked over to the Apple store near the bank and purchased $3,000 worth of gift cards. I didn't ask about this part of the story. Like, were they suspicious too? He called the scammer back, and the scammer said, "Now take photos of the gift card codes and text them to me." So he did. Then the scammer said, "Okay, now cut up the cards." For some reason, this was what set off alarm bells in my uncle's head. He said, "No way am I doing that." He hung up the phone and rushed back to the bank. He spoke to someone at the bank, and he barely got the first sentence out before the bank employee said, "That's a scam. You need to go to Apple and cancel those cards." So he rushed over to Apple and told them the story. He gave them the cards, and they were able to cancel them immediately. They said they would send him a $3,000 refund check in the mail, and that it would take a while, but they actually sent it pretty quickly. He has his money back. He's embarrassed. He knows he made some stupid mistakes, but he is sharing the story with his friends despite his embarrassment, in the hopes that he can save one of them from being scammed. Yeah, I'll never forget. I have older parents that aren't the most tech literate. I won't say which one or anything, but I remember they called me into their room and were asking me to take a look at this, and they were actually on the call with the customer support rep from Norton or whatever it was, and the email was still pulled up on their screen, which said, "Oh, we accidentally charged you $500 for your Norton subscription. If this was a mistake, please call so-and-so number." I remember walking in the room, looking down at the phone, which is still on the call, and I can hear that, just being honest, Indian accent trying to get their attention, and I just pressed hang up. Really drilled it into their heads from that point on. Do not just blindly believe anything, even if it's in your email like that. Another very common one in my area that seemed to be pretty successful at scamming some older people, there were these text messages that would come over all the time that said, "You owe $6 on your toll fees." Because where I live, a lot of the highways and major roads have small toll fees to use them, so these scam text messages would go around saying very small amounts, $4, $6, low enough that some people let their guard down. "Oh, $6, yeah, I guess I missed that, I'll pay that off real quick." I learned not only do you have to be vigilant, you have to be vigilant in teaching other people to be vigilant. Slinky too left a comment saying, "I'm glad his senses kicked in no matter at what point in the scam." My grandma got taken for $27,000 a couple of months back, lost to the ether of crypto. I just cannot understand why it's so difficult for so many older folks to understand no one doing legitimate business is using gift cards of any kind to receive payment. The OP responded to that comment saying, "Same here. How does it not sound suspicious that McAfee wants to be paid in Apple gift cards?" I guess it goes back to what my uncle kept repeating. He was very convincing. My condolences to your grandma. That's a ton of money to lose. This next story is, someone is giving me a baby grand piano worth thousands and is requiring me to have it delivered by her cousin. Scam? I'm supposed to arrange for the piano to be delivered to my home by contacting the cousin who has a logistics business. Nice lady, who is giving me the piano, guessed that it would cost $150 to $200 for the delivery. I can't think of how this can be a scam, but who gives away a piano worth thousands? Nice lady offered the piano on Facebook Marketplace. She has a couple of hundred friends on Facebook. Her profile picture is her and her husband on some kind of boat. They look retirement age. Her boat is barely shown, but there are lots of boats in the harbor behind them in the photo. Nice boats. From the setting in their clothing, they might be wealthy. Maybe no one plays the piano anymore, and she wanted someone to enjoy it, and wanted to help out her cousin. To guard against a scam, I won't give out any credit card information. I'll pay cash when the cousin arrives with the piano. If the cousin insists on being paid in advance via credit card, I'll say no thanks to the piano. What other precautions should I take? Thanks for your advice, 3090. Edit, I searched the sub to see if this is a well-known scam, but didn't find anything. There are so many scams. Apologies if this one is common and I failed to find it when I should have. The OP then posted an update the next day. Thanks for the good advice, y'all. I decided to skip the charade. I didn't contact the supposed piano movers. For the fun of it, I searched Facebook Marketplace for piano, or sorted by price. I scrolled past at least 100 free pianos, including a half dozen grand pianos. Now, I don't know the actual mechanism of a potential scam here, besides pay me in advance and then I'll promise I'll bring it right over. The only other thing that I would have in mind is if that piano is for some reason an absolute lemon, and they did deliver it, but OP never got like a great chance to look at it or test it, and found out it needs hundreds of dollars more in repair or something. Any Psychology left a comment on the post saying, I got an email about this some time ago. I asked where the piano was located. Answer, about 5 hours away by car. I responded, I'm traveling that way in a week or two and would like to stop and see it before taking the next step. They tried to make it sound like that wasn't possible, but I told them, you must be crazy if you think I'm going to pay you a couple of $1,000 for shipping me something you won't even let me look at before buying it. Thought it was a scam, but decided to play along for a while. They finally gave up on me. The OP responded to that saying, you won't even let me look at it before buying it, especially a piano. People often have strong opinions about the feel of the keyboard and the sounds. Surprise, you hate this keyboard and how the piano sounds. Bummer for you, except you were smarter than that. Good for you. Our next story is, received a super creepy phone call, don't know what to make of it. So I was texting this girl I'm planning on seeing tonight, and she said that she would let me know when she was done with her studying thing and heading home. I followed up about an hour later and asked how it was going. Minutes later, I received a call from no caller ID, and it was a girl I didn't quite recognize, but it was a possible familiar voice. She said, hey, just wanted to let you know I just left the house and I'll be there in 30 minutes. And I said, what? Because I was incredibly suspicious, especially since it was no caller ID. She replied, yeah, just letting you know I just left and I'm heading to your house. And then I hung up. I'm supposed to be going to this girl's house, not the other way around. She says it wasn't her, and it would be so random and bizarre for her to lie about it, so she's out of the picture. I'm assuming it was some sort of scam, but now I'm really creeped out because it was so close to being accurate about something I was texting about. Is it just a coincidence? So I'm gonna go out on a limb and assume wrong number, hopefully. The problem here is, and understandably so, OP got too kind of freaked out to really stick around long enough to get some context, so you can't really be sure. But it kind of just sounds like a wrong number that happened to be eerily close to what was going on. I mean, at least OP didn't pick up and it was like, I'll be there at your house soon. Because that would be grounds to call a 3-digit number. Zelez left a comment for OP asking, more info needed. Have you met this girl in person before? Where did you meet her? OP responded, I've known her for like over a decade. We've dated off and on a little. 070 Shooketh asked OP, wouldn't you have recognized her voice had it been her? OP responded, I mean, the conversation was so short and quick and it was so related to what I was just texting about that it was hard to immediately tell. It was pretty similar to her voice in the moment. Finally, Left Connection asked OP, so what happened? Or was it this post that was a scam? OP responded, nothing else happened, so I guess it was. Just so coincidental. Our next story is, my mother-in-law thinks she has contact with the Prince of Dubai. My mother-in-law genuinely believes she has been in personal contact with the real Prince of Dubai for almost 10 years. According to her, he contacted her first on social media, and they've been communicating ever since. Over the years, she has shared very personal details with him. Who she is, her family situation, problems in her marriage, details about her children and grandchildren. Over time, he has also started referring to her children and grandchildren as his own family. He tells her that he sees her children as his children and her grandchildren as his grandchildren, and speaks about them as if they'll all become one family together in the future. She's currently still living with my father-in-law, but is seriously considering leaving him because she believes she will start a new life with this man. She believes they will live together in Dubai. Recently, he started asking her for money. He claims he needs financial help to travel to our country, which already raises obvious concerns considering who he claims to be. Because of this, she's begun asking friends and family if they could take out a loan for her. She says they regularly FaceTime, but only in secret. He told her that FaceTiming is forbidden in Dubai and that nobody is allowed to know about their contact because he could get into serious trouble. During these calls, he supposedly shows her his children, relatives, his room, and even people cleaning the house to make everything look authentic. He also sends her photos of Dubai, claiming he took them himself. She's also discussed plans where she would stay in a hotel and wait for him to come to her, believing this would be the moment they finally meet in real life and begin their life together. At an earlier stage, he sent her money and asked her to move it along for him to a different foreign account, explaining it as a temporary technical issue. This resulted in official warnings that she might be unknowingly involved in something illegal. We are deeply concerned. The situation is escalating, and she seems willing to give up her marriage, her financial stability, and potentially her safety for someone she has never met in real life. Has anyone here experienced something similar with a family member? Are there any effective ways to help someone realize this is not real without completely pushing them away? So, no surprise, this is right down the alley of one of the most infamous kinds of scams out there. I can't tell you how many times I've looked in the spam filter in my email inbox and seen some Prince of Nigeria needs to transfer $1 million to a US bank account kind of email. The only thing is, I really wonder what's going on in that FaceTime. I mean, does this Prince of Dubai live in a really nice home that they can pull something off like that? Because I'm afraid, what if OP's mom is on this FaceTime and this guy's in his scammer hut with his wife and she's coming in and just sweeping the room and he's acting like, yes, this is my palace maid. Caluxter left a comment saying, Google Prince Dubai scam. It's a common scam and even has other Reddit threads. If it's been 10 years, I'm so sorry for her emotional addiction. OP responded, I know, man, we also showed her this, but here it comes. She says she knows there are a lot of Prince of Dubai scams, but even she is convinced that this is the real one. I don't even know how she believes that she's someone the Prince of Dubai could fall for. Our next story is, Christian Mingle girl wants my brother's roommate to meet her in Kenya. Red flags here? My brother's roommate has been talking to a girl on Christian Mingle for a couple of months. My brother claims that he's also FaceTimed with her, and she seems pretty legit. She wants the roommate to go out and visit her in Kenya now. My brother wants to come along. I'm really worried about this. Sure, it's possible for people to meet overseas on dating apps and actually have a relationship, but this also just seems like a very common scam. Apparently, she hasn't asked for any money, but I'm afraid that once he gets there, there might be somebody waiting there to either take his passport or rope him into something. My brother's not concerned and is not going to take any precautions whatsoever other than staying at their own hotel, and he thinks that I'm being paranoid. Honestly, his roommate doesn't have any money and he's had no luck dating here and has considered himself an incel. So that's why this also seems very sketchy to me. Am I being paranoid or not? What can I tell my brother to try to convince him not to go along? I mean, I can't lie, I would be kind of peeved out over the whole situation. I don't know if I would fully trust it. I feel like you hear horror stories of people who go to these things and all of a sudden it's like a extortion or ransom or whatever situation. I don't know if it's just overly pessimistic or irrational to fear of something like that, but it's kind of also a situation where you can't force them not to go. Similar Comfortable left a comment saying, honestly, does he know enough about her to know whether she has 20 friends ready to beat him up or kidnap him? There is no way in heck I go to the foreign country to meet somebody I've never met in person before unless there was a third party that I trust who could vouch for them. The OP responded to that comment saying, yeah, he definitely doesn't know that. They just text and chat on video call a lot, apparently, and that's why they all think this is legit. I mean, I spent 3 years with an abusive person, and I didn't know he was a psychopath. So, being willing to risk your life on the bet that someone isn't a threat because you had a few months of video calls is ridiculous. Independent Ad left a comment saying, this seems suspicious. There's plenty of people out there who do scams in larger groups of people. It's not unheard of for a guy to meet up with a girl while there's other dudes outside the place or even in the same place but blending in with the crowd to not draw attention. People from poorer countries often assume Americans or people from English-speaking countries have money, especially if they're willing to travel to meet up. If this guy has the extra money and he's willing to risk losing money, he can always offer to pay for their flight to see him. Even offering that might be a good way to gauge how serious the person is for meeting up. If they decline or if they request the money sent directly to them, it's probably a scam. Suggest they offer to pay for travel expenses directly rather than wiring money for the other person to buy the ticket. At least you'll know what the money's being spent on rather than blindly giving someone money or traveling to another country where they might be risking their lives. The OP responded to that, yeah, that might be a good idea. I was even thinking of just giving the money to the roommate to pay for her ticket. I would much rather lose the money than risk losing my little bro. I was thinking if she has some excuse like she can't leave, that's kind of red flaggy too. Our next story is, update, romance scam lost $95,000, need help. Please see update. My mom is falling for a romance scam. She speaks Chinese only, so I'll try to explain as accurate as I can in English. For context, she's in her 50s. Me and my mom are very close and we pretty much share financials. She doesn't work, but I don't mind. There's other family circumstances too, but I'll keep it short. We are not well off by any means. We don't own a house, but have some savings built up. I've also just learned of this 2 days ago. She found him on WeChat and never met in person. She's been talking to him for a couple of months. She says he's a rich Chinese high-ranking person in the Jardines company. Says they came up with new tech research in EVs and such. Got her to invest $5,000, said something about not being enough and someone in the company is going against him, got her to put in $15,000 more. Showed her screenshots of her account going up from investments, then $20,000, and another $20,000, and finally $15,000, which I found out is from my account. Told me a family friend needed to borrow it. He shows her she has $2 million in the account and now needs to pay 3% taxes to get it out. Says he'll pay the rest and she just needs to pay $20,000. She has borrowed a lot of the $75,000 she's given so far. I would say probably around $30,000 or more. I don't trust the numbers she gives, plus my $15,000. FYI, I have her bank account and it's probably my fault for neglecting to check her account. I never had a reason to. She completely trusts and believes him. Says he's coming in just over a week to see her. Going to marry her. She loves him. She says she'll take out a loan with her car or somehow borrow the $20,000 if I don't pay. I tried multiple times to reason with her. show her info on Shazoo Pan or pig butchering scam, but she won't listen. She gets so emotional and says she'll do certain things if I keep trying to convince her. I think she's in denial that if she admits it, it's a scam, and then she lost $75,000. So she has to have me pay this $20,000 to see the results. So she promised, whether it's good or bad, she'll accept the responsibility. Told me she'll work and do everything she can to pay it back if it's a scam, but she needs to pay this. She's the only person I care for, the only one I have. I can't lose her to this, so I'm paying it. I pulled out of VOO stocks and transferred $20,000 to her account. She'll be able to use it and pay him off in 2 days, and says it'll probably need a couple of more days to get to him. I will probably still have debt after trying to pay back the people she borrowed from, except for $50,000 in my 401k, but I will never touch that. We've been poor before. Money I can earn. We can start over again, but I can't lose her. I really hope he just disappears after this, or if he somehow asks for more, then she'll finally see and come to her senses. All there is left to do is wait, so I don't really know why I'm posting this. I'm just so tired, alone, and scared. Maybe I'm just trying to throw myself a pity party to make me feel better. Maybe I just needed to get this off my chest. I know people have experienced much worse, and I should just be thankful for that. But anyways, if you've read this far, then thank you for hearing me out. OP then goes on to post an update. I finally spoke to a friend of mine. Told me to hide the car title. I can't find the title where it should be. I think she already took a loan with it. I went online and tried to transfer the $20,000 back into my account. It says same-day transfer since it's the same bank. They open tomorrow on Saturday, but I hope it gets transferred before Monday. That's when he wants her to transfer it. I'm going to go to the bank tomorrow and be more specific. I'll say it's fraud and she's being coerced and has threatened me with self-harm for that money. I hope they can help more, maybe put a hold on her account or something. It's Bank of America if anyone has any more info that can convince them to do something. I also hope that she doesn't find out till Monday. On Monday, I'll try to go with her to the bank, and when she has no money to transfer, hopefully they can help further. I will call emergency services if she tries anything, but I can't give her the money. It hurts me to my soul knowing how much I'll be hurting her, and I just hope she can come through it in one piece. If there's any advice on how to speak to her or where to get professional help, please let me know. We're in California. If there's any specific departments or resources that can help me, please let me know. I think it goes without saying that the whole situation is pretty crazy, and I'm really glad in the update OP said they're doing everything they can to pull it back, because OP, in a way, almost was just as bad as their mom if they were going to give $20,000 just to try to appease and salvage the relationship with their mom. And here's frankly the cold hard truth. If OP didn't give that $20,000 and the mom did try to do something, in the area of like at least in that situation, OP could do something about that. Like, that is something, especially in California, they're actually going to respond to and intervene. And let me be clear, because I don't want it to come off that way. I'm not saying that it would be a good thing or that she should do that. I'm just saying if such a thing were to happen, at least it would be actionable by some kind of service. Cognitively able adult people giving money away, unfortunately, they're probably not going to step in. Forgotten X left a comment saying, "I've been here. You can call the local police. They'll send a trained crisis officer out to talk with her, and they can take her to the hospital if she is a danger to herself. Call the banks. Tell them what's happening. In my experience, not Bank of America, they will place a hold to block international transfers. Go to the bank with her. Ask to see the manager. They'll talk to her about what's happening. Sadly, if my experience becomes yours, none of this will make her believe, but it may slow the bleeding." A user named Finally Free replied, "That's why I warned OP that their mother is at a high risk of getting scammed again in a few months." The majority of victims repeatedly fall for scams. Her deep craving for attention and getting rich doesn't just go away. It remains there in the background until a new scam emerges later on. Also, the scammers probably put her on their suckers list, so they know she's an easy mark. In summary, I think we can all hope that hopefully they can block that transfer. But might I offer you a transfer to the video on the left to another video full of crazy Reddit stories? Or an all expenses paid trip to the video on the right? There's some great stuff in those videos. And as always, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time with some more stories.